Hello, welcome to episode 253 of the Craft House Magic podcast. My name's Ellie and I'm coming to you from Norwich in Norfolk in the UK, and today is the 13th of July. So welcome everybody. I hope you've all had a lovely crafty week since the last time I've spoken to you, and I'm here to share all the things that I've been making in the last 2 weeks actually. So last week I was going to upload a tutorial, but I didn't actually finish editing it, so hopefully it'll be up in the next few days. I keep saying that, but there was a lot of footage to actually go through. I will show you the finished item in the English paper piecing sew-in section a little bit later on. So today we've got some knitting, we've got some sewing, which includes English paper piecing and foundation piecing. I have some confessions, oh dear. I'll talk about it later. And I've got some information on my shop in the shop update section of the podcast, and then of course there's a little appearance from Jensen at the end of the podcast as well. In the shop update section there will be some prize winners, not only for the subscriber giveaway for this month, but also for some knit along. So we've got the craft 20 a day make along going on, which is doing 20 minutes every day of your favourite craft to get those bigger projects done. And then we've also got the summer sock along. So you can join in with those on Ravelry or on Instagram using the hashtags I've put in the description bar down below. And I've also popped them on the screen. So let's get on with the knitting, shall we? I have a finished shawl. So Liz has knitted this for me. Isn't it gorgeous? This was on my sort of auxiliary make mine list. Which actually probably has about 30 or 40 items on it, but you know. So Liz knitted this for me though. I bought some yarn specifically to make this shawl with, and these are those two that are there. We've got like a dark burgundy and a pale pink, and these are from Castleview yarns. The dark burgundy colour is called the Duke, and the lighter one is called Come What May. So these are from the Moulin Rouge set that she's done. So I bought those, and I had in mind to put my Vogue colourway with it for the sort of pops of colour that work all the way along there. So they're short row sections to form these splashes of colour, which I think's worked really nicely. So the original samples show a light grey and a white, I think, undyed yarn, striped, and then deep burgundy for the sort of pops of colour, but I thought these would work really nicely. So it's a crescent shaped shawl. So for this one you need 3 skeins of yarn. The 2 colours that you stripe you need nearly 100 grams. I've only got probably about 20 grams left of each of those, but I've got quite a lot left of the Vogue colourway. So you don't need loads for the Vogue colourway, or the pop of colour. I've only got I only used about 50 grams I think, so you could get away with a 50 gram skein for that one. But there we go, that is the Margot or Masgot shawl by Justyna Lorkowska, and I love it. So the way that I will wear this is probably round my neck like so, and that will work really well with a lot of outfits I think. So that's how I'll probably wear it, but you could wear it over the back of your shoulders as well, like a proper shawl, and have like a shawl pin in it. You could wear it like that, or you could have it tossed over your shoulders actually with shawl pins on the shoulders. Sometimes I do that actually, a couple of shawl pins just there. Isn't it lovely? I love this. I just love garter stitch stripes. I think that they're so cozy and wonderful. So if you've got 3 different colours in your stash that go together, this could sort of make a project where you put those 3 skeins together, because I know that I'm very guilty of buying single skeins when I go to yarn shows and things, so a good way to put 3 together. But I did specifically buy these 2 colours from Castleview yarns to go together. So the cast off edge for this one, it doesn't actually specifically say which method to use, but I did put a little video on my Instagram and my YouTube, like a shorts video, which showed you what cast off I used for this. So I don't really know what it's called as such, but you basically knit 2 stitches, and then you knit through the back of the loop those 2 stitches together. Then you knit another stitch and you knit those last 2 stitches together. So you're sort of knitting all the stitches sort of twice, and it just makes the edge nice and stretchy for a shawl. But I think that's a great way of doing a shawl edge, because you need it to be nice and stretchy to get everything to stretch out to size. I will pop a link to the short if you want to see exactly how I did that. So that is my first finished object, and I have a second finished object, which is a gorgeous hat. This is called the Meret Beret. Apparently it was a mystery beret at one time, but it is a free pattern, and the designer is Woolly Wormhead, and you can see the design on the top of the hat there, and if you look at the sides you can really see that lace effect. So I'll pop this on so you can see what it looks like. It is an Aran weight hat, which is nice and thick, and so I've knitted the brim in the two methods that it sort of asks you to do. So it says you can either do the rib or like a curled up edge, which I've done a bit of both of that because I liked the actual sample picture had that on, so I did a bit of both. There is options for different sizes, and this is the larger size because I've got a rather large head. It's still quite big on me, so I could have probably got away with a slightly smaller size, but I think that's worked well. And you can knit it a bit longer to make it slouchier, which I've done for this. But I think that looks really good. I only really suit hats when I've got my hair down, that's the only trouble though. But it doesn't look too bad when I've got my hair sort of around my face to make me look a bit less odd wearing hats. I still don't look great in them, but you know, and they keep you warm, so who cares, hey? And the hat itself looks pretty. So it is a free pattern. I will link it in the description bar down below in the show notes. Actually, I never really mention it, but I do put the show notes in the description bar down below, but also on my website as well. So if you can't get to the description bar, there's always on my website, if you go to the menu, there's a thing saying blog and show notes. If you go there, you can find the show notes there as well with all the links in. So the colourway I've used is my own hand-dyed yarn in the colourway As the World Falls Down, and this was inspired by the Labyrinth film, so I've used that to knit this up. I've been meaning to use this colourway for a while, so it was nice to see it all knit up. So it's like a grey, different tones of grey with purple and coral in there. There we go, that is my Meret hat, Woolly Wormhead pattern in my own hand-dyed yarn As the World Falls Down. As you can see, it does look quite a large opening there. Oh, what I forgot to mention is I blocked this on a plate. It was way too big for the plate actually, but what I did is I put it over a plate nice and flat and just flattened around all this lace bit and let it sort of hang off the edges of the plate, just so that this top bit dried flat, so that it would be all nice and neat when it came off the plate. But you don't actually need the plate to be super tight. If you just have your plate facing up like that, the weight of the hat will sort of drag down a little bit just to get that nice flat edge for the top of the hat. So my next project is a whip, and it is the new Stephen West contrast blast socks, which I am absolutely loving. So this is a surprise sock along that Stephen's doing. The first clue came out last Thursday and clue 2 is out today, and I've already had a peek at the video and I'm very excited to get started on the next section. If you are wanting to knit these socks and you don't want to see any spoilers, skip ahead to the next timestamp, or you can skip ahead to the sewing section. But first of all, I'm going to show you the yarn first without the spoilers. So the two colours that I've used are my own hand-dyed yarn, and I dyed these up especially for the sock along. This is the Paradise colourway, and I just love these colours together. It's so lovely and bright. I'm thinking maybe I should make a shawl in these colours as well. I absolutely love them. So this is a fingering weight yarn in a merino and nylon base. So I'm going to show you the socks now. So if you do not want to see the pattern, if you don't want to have spoilers, look away now and skip ahead to the next section. We're in a bit of a mess because we've got yarn going everywhere, 4 strands of yarn. So I have 2 socks to the point ready for the next clue, which I'm very excited about. It is a lovely, lovely pattern. Let me zoom in with one so you can see it a little bit better. So here we are. So the cuff is just a 2x2 rib, and then you've got some cabled section and then a slip stitch section underneath. I loved this I just love it so much. So I chose the 84 stitch count size sock. Normally I would do on a 2.5mm needle, I'd do either a 64 or a 60 stitch sock for my legs. Going by Stephen's measurements, I picked my measurement according to what he said, and he said I should do size 3. And then I was thinking, because it's knitted on a 2.25mm needle, I'm going to need quite a few more stitches normally for that size. So I'd say probably about 72 stitches I'd need normally for a 2.25mm sock, but there's lots of stitch details in there, so I was thinking, if there's a lot of repeats around the circumference of the sock, then that's going to make it even tighter as well. So I thought, when I'd read what he recommended for my size, I thought, well, that must be about right because of all that extra sort of cables and stitch detail on there. And it does fit. I've tried it on, and I think it's working up really nicely. So I'd just be careful about what size you pick. Don't necessarily go for one you normally do, because there's a lot of stitch detail. I've done quite a lot of cabled socks, and you just have to be careful allowing a little bit extra room, because those cables, because you're crossing over, you're restricting the size a little bit, and especially if you've got quite a few repeats all the way around the sock, that's going to make it a little bit tighter. So that's what I would recommend. I know that Dawn from the Knitting Almanac did a little video about Clue 1, and she was saying that she didn't like it because she does her socks on magic loop, but the first sock, because you knit the left and the right sock, the first of the socks was starting with a purl when you actually cast the cuff on. And she didn't like it because she ended up with a gap at the side. So you can, when you've done the first purl stitch, when you just started on the magic loop, if you then put the yarn to the back of the work and give it a little bit of a tug, that should close the hole up a little bit at the side. But just for ease, I just switched it, so I started with a knit the cuff and then switched it round when I got to the bit where I needed to sort of start the cable pattern. Just to make it easy for myself, so I don't have to think. I can just knit rib without thinking, really, as long as I start with a knit stitch. But I love it. Just look at those colours. I just love it. And the next section as well looks very exciting. Don't worry, I won't spoil it for you. I always have to watch the whole of these videos when it's a mystery knit along. Like straight away when the new video comes out, I'm like, skip to the end, have a look what this week's clue looks like. Just because as well, it's not just because I'm excited to see what it looks like, I just can't wait to see it. But it's also helps me sort of understand what I'm doing as I'm going along. I can see whether it looks right or not. So that's how I've got on so far. I am knitting one of the socks on interchangeable needles. So they're both 2.25mm needles, but these are higher interchangeables, and these are fixed just because I've got those sizes already, rather than stealing them from my shop, which is not good. But they're both higher sharp needles because they're my favourite for socks. I do like magic loop, because if you're knitting in the car, you can't lose magic loop needles in the car because they're attached, whereas I've thrown a DPN across the car before. Not good. So I am very excited about that, and I'm excited to spend this evening starting the next clue. I would recommend actually that it doesn't actually take too long to sort of catch up with the clues as he's coming out with them, because obviously the socks are a bit smaller than the shawls. When he does a shawl mystery knit along, I find it quite difficult to keep up, but the socks is much easier, especially if you only aim to do one sock over the week as well, so you've only got that much to knit in 1 week. So it is attainable, especially if you want to knit other things as well. So that is my knitting that I've been working on this week, and I have some sewing to show you next. Now, last week I had spent literally 2 days recording a tutorial on how to make this case, but I have not got around to editing everything yet, so I'm afraid it's not up on the channel yet, but if you watch this space it will be up shortly. So don't forget to like and subscribe to the video. If you want to see that video, so it should be coming up soon. So I've done some English paper piecing here. I actually did a separate tutorial for how to do basic English paper piecing, which I will link up in the top corner here and also in the description bar down below, or the show notes. So I did that and showed you how I do my English paper piecing, and then this second video, which will come out soon, will have the construction of this whole thing. So it's a case which has got English paper piecing on the front. I've done some embroidery in these sort of plainer hexagons and jewel shapes. I've done some French knots in the middle, and then the French knots and some different stitches to form like the leaves of the flowers around the outside. And then on this back portion and some of the other panels inside, I've done like a star shape with some of the French knots on the middle as well. So that's what the outside looks like. The closure has 2 buttons on the outside and then an elastic hairband which I use for this, and then you can open it up inside. This panel here I'm using to keep some needles and pins in there, and they're just layers of felt. I will show you how to do it in the tutorial so you can see what to do. This top section is some needles. I've just popped in a pocket just there, and then we've got another section here which is like a pin cushion with layers of felt. And I've just used blanket stitch to go around there, but I do go through it in the tutorial. And then this centre portion, I've got a little butterfly which holds a pair of scissors and the glue stick as well. So there's different sections to keep your different bits and bobs in, and then they just fold in over the top of each other and then closes like that. Hopefully you can see it when I'm sort of holding it up. But if you watch the tutorial, I do show it sort of flat on the table so you can see it a little bit better. But there's multiples of like the different EPP sections. There's a bit of quilting in there. There is some hand stitching. And actually the whole thing is hand stitched. The pattern pieces I'm going to actually have on my website though, and charge a small fee of £2 just to recoup my hours, because it took me for 2 full days to actually record it, let alone do the prep. So I have done that, but you could of course, if you didn't want to pay that, you could just work out some different size pieces and draw out the different shapes for the templates if you didn't want to purchase the pattern. So there we go, that is the English paper piecing that I've been working on. I did show that one panel on the last episode of the podcast, so you may have seen that already. So this Saturday just gone, I did a class, and it was a Helen Butcher class, and it was for the Impossible Grid. Now I did show you some of the samples that Helen gave me to show the group, to get people to sort of sign up to the class, and I will show you those. I can pop those in a video up here because I actually showed them on a previous podcast, so hopefully I'll be able to show a little clip of what those look like up here as I'm talking, because I've basically not finished. There's a lot of pieces there, they just haven't been joined together, and it's a very complicated pattern. So it's done by foundation piecing, and there's 8 different triangle pieces like that that put together in a very complicated fashion, so you would definitely need to purchase the pattern from Helen. I don't know actually whether she does the pattern separately, but she does obviously do tuition. You can pay for her to come and do a class with your group, but obviously you'll need to pay travel costs. If I can find it, if she does sell this pattern separately, which she probably does, I'll pop a link to that in the description bar down below. But the colours I've chosen are 3 different sort of turquoise colours and 3 different purple colours. A lot of these I haven't trimmed up yet, so you won't be able to sort of see exactly what they look like. So you can see that I've got a light, medium and dark purple, and I've got a light, medium and a dark blue. So there's a lot of pieces there, and I've got to put them all together, but you get the idea. And hopefully you'll have seen the little video at the top of the screen where I did show Helen's amazing samples of this. So it's a 3D sort of image which looks absolutely amazing, but it was also interesting as well because Helen's really good at foundation piecing, and it's always nice to get tips off other people for sort of quilting methods. So that was a lot of fun to be able to sit all day and do some sewing. So hopefully I'll be able to get this finished at some point. And of course Helen had her sort of sales table with all different patterns on there, so I had to make a purchase. So I'm swiftly moving on to my confessions section. Oh dear. Should not have bought more things, but you know, could not resist. So Helen had some kits put together, and this is what I purchased this time. It is the Kismet kit. Kismet. So it's a little kit with a clip and all the fabrics that you need. to make this little bag here. I just thought it'd be a little bit of fun really. All the pieces are sort of cut ready for you to use, and the zip's in there as well, so I thought that would be fun to have a go with a different sort of style bag than I usually do, so I had to buy that. And then I popped to Poundland about a week ago and I saw that they'd got some yarn. Now I don't normally buy sort of polyester acrylic yarn because I'm not a great big fan of acrylics unless they're Stylecraft or something like that, because the texture of the cheaper acrylic yarns can sometimes be a little bit funny. But they've got some cotton, so I've picked up a skein of cotton from Poundland and it was £1 surprisingly. And it is in this grey. I think it is probably about a DK weight. It is 150 metres per 100 grams, so it's a little bit thicker or heavier than normal, at least compared to merino, because I work with a lot of merino. But I thought that'd be good for some crochet sort of baskets that I've got on my Make 9 list, so that is something that I thought that I might do in the next few weeks. So that is a bit naughty as well. Oh dear. Sometimes you've just got to treat yourself, haven't you? Oh dear. So now I'm on to my shop update section, but I have got some sort of news that I wanted to share with you before I talked about the shop properly. So, Barbara's Day Out is where we all meet up for a sort of crafty meet-up to chat and have a cup of tea or coffee or whatever. It's going to be at Dunstan Hall at 2 o'clock on the 30th of July. So I'll pop the details in the description bar down below, and I'll make sure I remember to post it on Instagram so that there's a advertisement for it as well there. You don't need to tell me that you're coming, just turn up. We don't have to book a table. The more the merrier. If you can make it and you decide last minute, just come along and it'll be lovely to see you. I know that there's going to be at least 2 or 3 people coming because they have told me, so you won't be stuck with me on your own. So I just thought I'd mention again that I do have a second channel called Family House Magic, which has just got stuff with me, Adam and Jensen. So there's a lot of Jensen pictures on there. If you do want to see little videos on Jensen, he's on there. There's a few shorts videos I've uploaded already, and there's like a 20-something minute video on our trip to Paris, and I do have another video recorded on our trip to Bridgnorth in the Midlands a few weeks ago, but I do need to finish editing that. I'm hoping to get that done by this weekend, so watch out for that. So if you do go over and subscribe, you'll see that come up in your feed. So we have some winners. So for the Craft 20 a Day make along, we have a winner called Gail in Toronto. So congratulations, Gail. Gail has been making a crochet blanket and she's been sharing the squares with us in the 20 minutes a day. So that's an ideal project having on the Craft 20 a Day sort of make along. So thank you so much for joining in, Gail. We have a couple of prizes for the spring shawl along. The first of the prizes goes to Adriana from Connecticut, so congratulations. Adriana did a granny square shawl, which was really beautiful. Such a lovely way to use up sort of different scraps of yarn as well and put those colours together. Really pretty. We also have a winner, Peggy from North Carolina. Congratulations, Peggy. And Peggy has been working on the DRK Everyday Cal by Andrea Mowry, and it's one that I've really got on my radar. I need to make one of these. So thank you so much all for joining in. I have sent some messages either on Ravelry or on Instagram to let you know you've won, but all I'll ask for is your full name and postal address, nothing else. And the last giveaway I've got is for the subscriber giveaway. So this is for people who've gone to my website, scrolled down to the bottom of the page and subscribed to my newsletter emails. And every month I draw a winner from these. So this month's winner is Heather from Belfast. So congratulations. So if you come and subscribe to my newsletter, you might be in with a chance of winning one of the prizes in each of the other months that are going on. And I'm doing this every month for the foreseeable future, so you could be a winner. So now on to shop stuff. So if you purchase the July yarn clubs on their own, they will be shipped tomorrow. That is the 14th of July. So hopefully you'll get those quite quickly. If you're international, it's all tracked as well, so you'll be able to see where it is. The August yarn clubs will be on sale on the 21st of July until the 6th of August, and they will be shipped on the 18th of August. So that's the sock sets that can also be purchased to go together as a shawl set, and that's the theme music from the movies Action Adventure Edition. And the theme for the mini sets that I'm doing, and you've got a lot of choices for the bases for these different kits as well, is the mixtape minis, and it's a mixture of songs that I like from over the years, mainly 80s and 90s songs. And I do design them so that the 5 colourways in the mixtape minis are all designed to go together as a set for a project, or you can use them for blankets. I've also restocked some of the needles and accessories on my website. That's Higher and Clover and some of the other makes. There is a bit of an issue with bamboo needles with Higher. They haven't got all the supply due to a bad crop of bamboo, I think, over the last few years. So if you are looking for a size and it isn't in stock at the moment, it's probably because I can't get a hold of them in the warehouse. But most of the other needles and accessories I'm able to keep on top of those and keep a stock of those if you need it. But if you see something out of stock, just drop me an email and I'll just check for you. So now it's time for Jensen to come on the podcast. But before I have him on the podcast, I thought I'd mention the pattern that I'm going to show you before I have him on the video, because there's probably havoc going to occur when he gets on. So I thought I'd mention what the pattern is before he comes on camera. And it is the Swaddle Pals by Susan B. Anderson, and it is the cutest little toy. I just love this. My friend Claire knitted this for us, and it is the most stunning little toy. It is absolutely gorgeous. And Jensen actually has just started to like cuddly toys a bit more, so I'm so pleased. I'm very tempted to knit some of the other characters, because in the Swaddle Pals pattern there's a few different creatures that you can knit, and I've seen that they do Swaddle Pals too, and there's some other ones that I could include in a koala and things, so definitely going to knit more of those because I think they're absolutely gorgeous. So over to you, Jensen.
That's it, put him in. Put him in the box. Will you go to sleep in there? Put him in there. That's it. That's good, isn't it? So he just about fits in one of the cook's matches boxes. We'll have to make him a little mattress, won't we? And he can use his blanket over the top. Do you want to put him inside? There we go. You want to put him in there first? Okay. There we go, he's all snuggly. Yeah. So Jensen's wearing a pair of tangerine trousers I made as well, but it doesn't go with his top because Jensen picked this himself and we've had to change his trousers since. But these little teddy bears are so cute and ideal for putting in matchboxes to play with. We'll have to make a little bedroom on the shelf for him, won't we? Want me to open it? We put him in. There we are. We put him in there. He can stand up in there. Push it in. Don't push him out the other side. Ah! He's come out. So he's got a little blanket as well that you can put on him. Which way round does it go? This way. You fold it up. It goes in. And then there's a button attachment at the back, which is really cute. Say bye-bye.
Say bye-bye.
Good boy. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you'd like to see more, and I shall see you in the next video. Bye.